Continue learning 5 minutes of tefillah. Yesterday we finished basically this type of tefillah called a chilui, and if you remember when the additional types of tefillah, as we finished the first medrash, and now Rav Shimshon Pincus is learning the additional forms of tefillah. But after he finishes this form of tefillah called a chilui, which we explained at length, means to argue at some level with Hashem, to show Hashem, to gain appeasement by Hashem. Now he has something called Perek Beis, which is a separate explanation, another way of learning what this means. Vayechal Moshe, that Moshe had this form of davening of chilui. And he says that the word chilui comes from another word, comes from the lashon of ra'ada v'chalchala, shaking and trembling. And he quotes the Gemara in Brachos that says Vayechal b'tfilas Moshe, and one of the pshatim in the Gemara in Brachos, and we're learning Amid Yaimi, we just had this Gemara, one of the pshatim is that what is achilu? It's eish shelat samais. It means that Moshe Rabbeinu's bones were on fire when he was davening, which Pashib Shat means there was a form of sickness. But explains to Shimshon Pincus, what does it mean? It means he was literally on fire from the kedusha, from the hislavos, from the passion, from the ultimate incredible experience that it was to be able to stand in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And says to Shimshon Pincus, this is where it comes from. The minhag of Klal Yisrael, to shake, to sway when one davens, when one learns. And it's a fascinating thing. If you ever thought about it, you could see a non-Jew, he could sit and he could talk and he could read and he could speak and perfectly still. You see any Jew, he's davening, he shuckles, he's learning, he shuckles, I'm talking, I'm moving. Explains to Shimshon Pincus, this comes from the fire within, from the neshama, from the ish shelat samais. And he continues to explain that there are two types, yish v'zetarti. One reason why one is quote unquote, but literally on fire while davening, comes from the etzim matziv of tefillah, that what? You're standing in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that you're standing in front of the Shekhinah, and one is filled with pachad, one is filled with fear, and even if one doesn't actually viscerally feel that fear, deep within his neshama, that fear, that fire, that passion is felt. And he says the reason is wherever the Shekhinah is found, there is shaking, there is trembling. Where do we see this from? Explains the Shimshon Pincus, it's a halacha in Shulchan Aruch, that when one is davening, you're not allowed to walk in front of him. Why not? Because the Shekhinah is Sheireh, where one is davening Shemona Esrei. Says the Shimshon Pincus, and therefore, when one is davening Shemona Esrei, the Shekhinah is there. If the Shekhinah is there, automatically one is going to shake from the proximity to being within the Shekhinah, within this closeness to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And therefore, when one is davening, automatically there's going to be this chalchala v'charada yechazenu, this shaking and this trembling, and it's going to make one sway to and fro like the trees in the forest, says Rav Shimshon Pincus. This is a new pshat, he says. The Gemara and Brachos teach us that Rabbi Akiva, when he davened, he started in one corner and he ended in another corner from all the kairiyos, ishtachavayos, all the bowings that he did. And one might wonder, Rabbi Akiva, what are you doing? What are you moving across the whole room when you're davening? Says Rav Shimshon Pincus, if you could be feeling the Shekhinah in your presence and you're literally shaking and trembling and he's bowing and he's prostrating and he's showing hachna and submissiveness to Hashem, so he's going to move. And the great Rabbi Akiva went literally from one corner of the room all the way to the other corner of the room. And now he gives a second reason why one shakes and trembles when he davens. Says Rav Shimshon Pincus, the second reason is because of the chashivos. So again, the first reason was because you're within the proximity of the Shekhinah, and that proximity, by its very nature, causes one to shake. The second reason is, what are you doing? You're davening. Like it says by Moshe Rabbeinu, that he literally was sick over the fact that he was begging Hashem for forgiveness for the egel. The whole world depended upon it. When we stand in tefillah and we need something, it's so important to us that one shakes from it. And he concludes, and we'll pick up from this detail tomorrow, and he's going to explain how this really touches at the very core of our neshama. This touches at how when one davens and one learns the connection that he has to Hashem, which I'll explain more at length tomorrow. But we're seeing how this chilui, this vayichal, Klal is within the proximity of the Shekhinah, within the closeness to Hashem, would automatically, without even realizing it. And in reality, it's a beautiful thing. It shows us how whether we feel the Shekhinah or not, deep within us, we certainly do feel it as you shake, as you shuckle, as you daven.